Hello.
Alison?
Hi, Chris. How are you?
Very well. How are you?
Good. Are you in the UK?
I sure am. Yeah.
Oh, a lockdown apparently now.
Yeah, starting on Thursday. We're all back in our little burrows again. That's right.
We're friends. Well, we're a UK-based company and based in Bath and London. So Future is our parent company. So yeah, we hear everything. And they went back to work and they're back out.
Oh, I know. But anyway, you work virtually anyway, so that
yes, indeed. So tell me, what did you want to do for this event? I mean, I will do the basic introductions, but I heard you wanted to do a contest or some sort of a game show. So tell me what you need me to do or try and do, because this is all new to me too.
Oh, sure. Well, I don't need to do anything really, other than as long as I can share my screen with everyone.
Yes.
As a co-host.
Exactly.
Then that's all I need really. I think we've got 45 minutes, which is going to be quite tight. So the sooner we can get started, the better. And I will share my screen like so that there's a sort of a little presentation piece, which hopefully you can see your screen,
yeah,
you know, and I can show some slides and we'll have a look into the book, and then we will end up at the end of each chapter with a quiz. And then people need to use their mobile phones. So they take their phones and they go to a little website, and then we play a quiz based on the book. The book for each round. And I guess in 45 minutes, we might have the chance to play 3 or 4 quiz rounds based on the book. And then we'll have a grand finale where the 3 or 4 winners of each round will play it off, that everybody can watch to see who will be the grand winner. And that's how it'll work. In terms of microphones and things, it's quite nice to sort of have a little hubbub when people join. And then I ask them to switch their microphones off just as I get started. And then when we finish the quiz and we know who the winner is, I invite them to turn on their microphone so we can give them a big round of applause and a cheer and a whoop and all that kind of stuff. And I can congratulate them. And then we probably turn our microphones off again as we go into the second round, you know. That's
we'll test it out if whatever works, you know.
Yeah.
I'm just going to do a quick intro and say welcome and do housekeeping, and then I'll say, and I'll pass it over to Chris, and you take over. You'll start screen sharing, and then we'll be done.
Yeah, that's absolutely great. Thank you very much.
We already have like 800 and something people on the hub. So
well, that's great. I wonder how many will come through here. We'll have to just wait and see. I guess you don't.
All
really
800,
know.
I'm sure. But the cool thing is that we're tracking everyone, so we can tell you who goes to this session, who goes to your stand, who goes to like everything, so that we'll be able to like give you all the information post event that you can follow up and say, oh, I saw you attended my session or didn't attend. And
thank you for the contacts yesterday. That was nice just to sort of.
Yes, and I heard Bed finally canceled. That's good. I'm glad they finally.
Yeah, I didn't hear that, but I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, you know,
I was like, are you kidding me? Because that's a global, because people come in from everywhere.
Of course they do.
We love going to that show, though. I love it. It's amazing.
So I guess you usually come over to the UK quite a lot, I guess. Do you, Alison?
I don't. I only go for that show, actually.
Oh, really?
They don't have us, because we're actually, our headquarters I guess in New York and DC. I'm in California, but they're in New York, so I go to New York a lot. Or I would, and then for travel for this, like normally it would be.
So where are you now? You're in California now.
I'm in the Oakland area, Bay Area.
Oh, great! Oh, well done.
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. No travels.
So what's the time with you? It's pretty early, huh?
It is. I've been up since 4:30 a.m. because we had a pre-show call. 7:09 right now, but it's fine.
Oh, okay, that's great.
I'm used to it. I used to get up for early flights all the time back when I traveled, but now it's like,
no, not so. So today's a big day for everybody in the world to see what you guys decide to do with the rest of the world.
Nothing. I know.
Well, we're all keeping our fingers and toes crossed. A little bit of common sense return.
Common sense would be you would think common sense would take over, but it hasn't really.
Well.
Yeah.
There we are. We'll wait and see, huh? Will you be watching tonight or whatever, or will you?
I don't. You know, I had a friend suggest that we go to a party, a reception. You know, she has an outdoor patio, and she's like, "Oh, I'm happy." I'm like, I don't think I want to even because it's like I can't even. It just gets me stressed out. So, like, I was watching the British baking show during the debates. I'm like, I can't handle all this other stuff. I'm like, I gotta zone out and like
That's much better.
Watch some Paul and whatever.
So, Alison, how does it work? So, are they in a waiting room and then you let them in, or do they just appear?
They're supposed to appear at 7:15. They can start coming in now, I believe. Yes, let me check and see. Yeah, just 2 of us are here. So at 7:15 it starts. So right now they're supposed to be networking and going to stands and booths and walking around, but they can come in at any time.
Yeah, good.
And then I will turn on the closed captioning and start recording once we're closer to start time and present the slide.
So does the closed captioning somehow interpret my words and put it on the screen? Is that what happens? That's clever.
Yep.
Speak nice and clearly.
It picks up everything, and I gotta watch yourself because I'm a potty mouth person.
No little asides.
Mumbling on this. Oh yeah, I'm queen of mumbling and side comments. So. Yes. So how much of your business is based in the US versus UK, or is it?
Well, in terms of people, not so much. Only got a couple of people in the US. The rest of us are over here. In terms of revenue, probably the US is 2/3. Yeah, maybe half to 2/3. China is the other half to 2/3, and the UK is just a tiny little sliver. But actually, that's growing a bit now.
Yeah. That's good. My friend's a headmaster was thinking about the lockdown. He was like 2 weeks ago, he had to send home like 400 students and 10 teachers. I'm like, why are you guys even open? He's like,
crazy, isn't it? I know, crazy. So whereabouts is he a headmaster?
He's Enfield. It's a boys' school. Yeah.
Good. That makes sense. Okay.
But yeah, I have friends that live out in Stoke-on-Trent, and then I've got friends out everywhere. Hello, we have someone attending.
We have Teddy. You can encourage them to turn on their microphones and their, that's good. Lots of people beginning to come in. That's nice.
Good morning, everyone. Feel free to turn your microphones on.
Yeah, microphones and your video. It's lovely to see you.
Interactivity.
Yeah, that would be just great. Perfect. Yeah. Oh, they all know that there are prizes available. That's why we're getting lots of people coming in. That's great. Goody.
I'm enabling the transcript. So watch what you say.
Well, folks, do please feel free to turn on your video and your microphones just so that we can create a bit of a buzz in here.
Apologies, I was chewing.
Chewing, that's Keith, you can chew, that's fine. Please don't apologize. Great idea. Oh, there's someone I recognize. That's Nancy. Hi, Nancy.
Hey, Chris.
Very nice to see you. And we have Mina and we have Eddie. At least that's what it says. Whether people are actually called the things that their labels say they're called is also another question. You can never be sure. But we have Maria, which are welcome to you, and Mark and Jonathan and Patricia and Trisha and G. That's G Clark, by the way.
Hold on. Good morning. It's Trisha.
Trisha. Thank you, Trisha. That's very nice to hear.
You're welcome.
Thank you for coming along. We're going to have I think you say in your part of the world, we're going to have a gas. That's what they say, isn't it? I don't know. Do you use that expression? Okay. Alison. Okay, there we go. Great. Lots of people. Fantastic.
See the screen share beyond access form?
Yep.
Okay. Great. Recording on, and we're set to go. Okay, great. Hi, thank you for attending today's New York City Department of Education Beyond Access Forum. This event is brought to you by the Department of Ed Division of Specialized Instruction and Student Support and the Office of Digital Inclusion and the New York City School Library System. A special thank you to all of our partners. Be sure to visit all of our booths throughout the day. I'd like to take a moment to remind you to log into the Conference Hub using the link sent into your conference email. Once you are logged in, you can visit a partner booth to learn more about their offerings and book a meeting or live chat with them. Network with all of today's attendees via the registrant directory and chat features. Gain access to all the conference resources in the resources section. And enter our passport to prizes. Throughout the Conference Hub, you'll find several buttons to enter yourself into passport to prizes. Each time you find a button and fill in the form, you will earn one entry into the raffle. All entries are eligible for a series of prize drawings, only one prize per participant. We will announce the winners via email at the end of the conference. Before we begin, I'd like to cover a few housekeeping items. If you have any questions for the presenter during the session, submit them through the Zoom chat feature. You do have the option to turn off the closed captioning by show subtitle within your Zoom console, and make sure to use the conference hashtag NYC Schools Inclusion in your social post. And for CTLE credit, please visit the website posted throughout the site that will help you there. Now I'm going to pass it over to Chris, who's going to be taking over the screen and sharing his fabulous quiz.
Great. Well, thank you very much indeed, Alison. I hope you can all hear me. I mean, if you can hear me, you could do a little thumbs up or something, or I don't know, give me a high five or something. Anyway, it's a great pleasure to be here. I'm joining you from the UK. We have a nice sunny afternoon. It's let's see, 3:20 in the afternoon. And over here is just another day, but I understand it may not be just another day for you guys, but we're all watching with great interest to see what happens. I'll probably be up at 3 in the morning, like the rest of you, you know, and anyway, there we go. But what a pleasure it is to join you. My name is Chris, as I say. I am an author and I'm a publisher. And I'm joining you in my capacity, really, as the editor of a very exciting new book, which is the Britannica all-new children's encyclopedia. In fact, the US version, which I don't have in my hand, is the kids' encyclopedia, because you have kids over in your part of the world and we have children over here, but, you know, let's not split hairs. Anyway, that's the book. Now, what I wanted to do this morning is just to share my screen for a minute and show you a few things that I'm very passionate about. I'm a non-fiction children's author, and I believe that the real world is far more amazing than anything you can make up. And I think that a lot of kids and a lot of adults, actually, when they think about it, realize that this is true as well, that we don't need to make things up when we're surrounded by amazing stories. All we need to use is that natural curiosity that we're born with. And you can't fail but be amazed. And there's nothing that's ordinary. Everything is amazing. You know, even when you heat up water on a stove and it turns into steam and it disappears into thin air, you think that's only a magician could have made the world. It's so incredible. So that's the world I try and inhabit. And one of the things I've discovered as I've visited schools for 15 years now, giving lectures and talks all around the world, is that it's not that often that non-fiction authors are invited into schools. Usually it's a librarian who might invite me to come and give a talk, which is fantastic, which is why I'm so keen and excited to be able to talk to all of you folks today. But usually they say they're surprised and amazed. It's a non-fiction author. We've never had a non-fiction author before. So I'm very passionate about trying to champion this idea that non-fiction should be a priority in the diet of how literature is understood and disseminated to young people. It's more important than ever because it develops your critical thinking skills, because you have to work out what's true and what isn't true. Because if it's a non-fiction author, it's saying this is true. Well, what is truth? And how can we know it's truth? And what's the evidence? And all these things that are so important for young people today in a world of fake news are part of the whole operational programming of what it means to be in the world of nonfiction and a nonfiction writer. One of the biggest fictions I've discovered is something we're all guilty of, which is chopping knowledge up into little pieces. I don't know if you've noticed this, but when I was at school and when you're at school, and it's the same for kids today, we chop knowledge up into different subjects. We have English and geography and math and social studies, and we have physics and chemistry and music and art. And that, I have to say, is the world's biggest universe of fiction, because knowledge isn't divided up into different subjects. If you ask a brain surgeon how the brain works, I promise you, they won't tell you that there's a bit of geography and a bit of maths and a bit of social studies, a bit of science and a bit of geography and art, and down the bottom there's a little bit of, music. That's not how it works, right? Our brains are not divided up into different subjects. That's fiction. That's not nonfiction. In fact, the whole structure of the education system that we deliver to children is based on a fiction. It's based on a lie, because your brain doesn't work like that. What your brain does is it likes to connect things together. And whenever you make a connection, your brain often gives a little whoop of joy, a bit of dopamine, because it's realized something. You go, ah, or you go, wow. Or you go, sometimes you laugh out loud, because if you think about it, our jokes and our humor is all based on making connections between things that we hadn't realized were connected before. So I've spent my whole career trying to understand how we can connect knowledge back together again, not split it up into little pieces. So I'm going to share my screen here very briefly and show you a few things that I hope will, hang on a second, I just got to go back to my first slide here. Oh, I whizzed over to the middle of the presentation. Here we go. So there we are. I'm sorry I'm not wearing my bow tie, but there we go. So I put a series of wall books together, which are giant timelines that connect knowledge. You see the different streams represent different parts of the world. The green one is America, the pink one is Europe, the yellow one is the Middle East, the far one is China, the bottom one is Africa. And you can spread this out. It doesn't work very well on Zoom, I'm afraid, but it's great on a classroom wall. And you can see what's happening anywhere in the world. If you choose 1520, you'll find Henry VIII, but you'll also see, Christopher Columbus has just arrived in the Americas, and Luther's protesting against the Pope, and the Chinese are building a Great Wall of China. It's a way of connecting knowledge together. And then actually, I did this in a narrative form a couple of years ago with this book called Absolutely Everything, that goes from the beginning of time to the present day as a narrative, as a story. This is another thing. A lot of people think that nonfiction is about reference and just looking things up. Actually, the best stories in the world are the true stories. And this is written together all the way from the beginning of time to the present day in 15 chapters. And if people don't like reading the book, then there's an audio version I've just recorded actually during lockdown, which is now available. But the reason that we're here is because about 18 months ago, I started talking to Britannica, who are based in Chicago. And they, of course, for 250 years have pioneered the whole idea of reference and nonfiction through their encyclopedia. This is a facsimile edition of the first ever Britannica encyclopedia. And it was actually published in 1768 in Edinburgh by a publisher called Smelly. But there we are, that was his name. There we are, we mustn't discriminate. But one of the things about an encyclopedia is traditionally, of course, it's divided into A to Z, like you can see in these 3 volumes. And to my mind, they're as guilty as the system we have today, because your brain isn't divided into A to Z. You don't have a bit of A here and a bit of B and a bit of C and a bit of D. Of course, it doesn't necessarily help you connect things together in a way that would be allowing your natural curiosity to flow. So therefore, we teamed up, and Britannica stopped printing books in 2012, put everything online. And in fact, the last children's encyclopedia they produced was in 1984, would you believe it? But they realized that the Britannica brand in a world of fake news has a tremendously important part to play, particularly for young people, because you can trust the content, because they have a universe of experts, and because they take huge pride in making sure that everything is accurate and triple checked. So we thought, how can we take an encyclopedia and make it relevant for the 21st century in a world where, of course, people are going to go online to look things up. They're not going to expect to just go to a bookshelf these days. This is the new vernacular that we live in. So this is an encyclopedia with a slight difference. It's called the Britannica All New Children's Encyclopedia, What We Know and What We Don't. Because many of the most amazing questions, actually, we don't know the answers to. So why don't we go to the encyclopedia to find out what we don't know? Because that is part of the whole journey of curiosity. And in fact, sometimes when you find an answer to something, it makes you see the world in a slightly different way, because that's what happens when you make a connection in the brain. It helps you empathize with a different perspective. And then it opens up a whole vista of other questions you didn't know were there before. And that's what we're trying to do in this encyclopedia, which is why we've created it, structured it as a journey, not as a lookup. So you start at the beginning of time in chapter 1 with the universe. We see the planet Earth and we explore Earth sciences. We understand what matter is made of and how it works from atoms and forces. And then we explore this incredible thing called life on Earth, the only planet that we know of that has it. And then in the second 4 chapters, we meet humans, our ancestors in the Stone Ages, maybe going back 3 million years. What is a human? That's a great known unknown. And then we see how they've diversified into ancient cultures and civilizations, then how we move into the modern world and the whole world's become connected together, which is how we're able to converse today. And then we look at today's world and over the sort of horizon into the challenges for tomorrow. And within that structure, you can accommodate all knowledge. It doesn't matter if you're interested in beetles, chapter 4, if you're interested in robots, chapter 8, if you're interested in ancient writing, chapter 6, or if you're interested in volcanoes, chapter 2. We can accommodate any aspect of knowledge, but in a framework that reflects the reality of the narrative, the story, the non-fiction world in which we live. So that's what makes this a little bit different. Now, I'm just going to show you a few little spreads from inside the encyclopedia before we do our first quiz. And this quiz that we're about to do together is something I've been doing since lockdown, actually, with schools, with festivals, with conferences, with companies in Singapore, Australia, California. It's been amazing, actually, to find that I can sit here in the UK and give them a little tour of the universe and the story of life on Earth and engage with the content of the book through the form of quiz. And it's tremendous fun, as you'll see. Now, in chapter 1, we're looking at the universe, and the encyclopedia obviously contains fantastic graphics. Here, from the beginning of time to the present day, showing how the universe has expanded over 14 billion years. Here's our first known unknown, and they appear all the way through the book. Why is there more matter than antimatter? According to the laws of physics, there should have been antimatter and matter should have cancelled each other out into a blast of light just after the Big Bang, and that would have been it. But we know that's not true because there's more matter than antimatter, and it's condensed into galaxies and stars and planets and countries and computers and all sorts of things. Everything's made of matter, not antimatter, but nobody really knows why there's more of it than there was antimatter. Maybe some of the kids today who will become scientists will solve this problem. Sarah Tuttle here is an expert who we've engaged with to help us. She's an astronomer, and we feature the experts throughout the book. In traditional reference books, the experts are hidden behind the words and may accredited in the sources at the end. In this case, we profile them because we want them to be the role models for kids in the future. And you'll see more of this as we go through. Here we are now looking at the galaxies and our own galaxy, the Milky Way. We've organized content into a box there called Listified, which is going to be the title of a second Britannica encyclopedia coming out next year, where we organize information throughout different themes in amazing lists, like how many stars are there, how fast are they moving, how big are these stars, all the rest of it. And kids love lists, and it's a beautiful way of organizing information. Of course, we can find out how stars are made, how people looked at the stars in the past. We can look at planets outside our solar system, and of course our solar system itself, which is really important because at the center of it is the source of all power as we know it, really, which is the sun. And then we have some planets that are rocky and some that are gas giants. Not all matter are planets. Asteroids, little rocks, have changed the history of the world by smashing into the earth and causing chaos like they did 65 million years ago at the death of the dinosaurs, as I'm sure you know. How do we know about the history of space exploration? Well, here's a history of rockets. You can see a graphic about different types of rockets and a timeline and a known unknown here, which is how we're going to launch a rocket from another planet that isn't the planet Earth. This is a huge engineering challenge, and maybe some of your students will be up to trying to puzzle this out as we voyage to Mars and beyond. Here's a beautiful listified of all the space probes that are out there in the solar system and where they are. And of course, the biggest known unknown of all, how will the universe end? Will it carry on expanding forever? Or will it crunch down into a tiny little speck and then explode again? And there's a game changer there, Edwin Hubble, who came up really with the first evidence that the universe began with a big bang. He did that in the 1930s. So at the end of the chapter, of each chapter, you will see a profile of some of the key experts here: an astronomer, space historian, astrophysicist. Why do they love their jobs? What have they discovered that really excites them, etc.? And then there's a quiz. And the quiz contains 14 questions. All the questions come from content within that chapter. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stop my screen share for a second, check everybody's still with me, which is fantastic. That's lovely. I'm going to check the chat box to make sure everybody's okay. If anybody wants to write any comments, I can see you there. What I'd like you to do is to reach for your phones, please. Any smartphone or a tablet is what you need. And what we're going to do is I'm going to take you to a little website. And this website is going to take us to where we can do our own quiz. And I would like you to go to a website called quizlet.live. Quizlet.live. So you just type in those words, Quizlet.live, and you can see it on the big screen here. And then when you get there, it will ask you to enter a 6-digit code. And the code for this quiz is 674025. So I'll say that again, 674025. Alison, maybe you could type that in the chat box, just so in case anybody can't see. And I can see lots of people already joining. That's fantastic. It will ask you to put your name in, which is great. We've got 15 players, 16 players. Keep going. Well, just leave it open for a little longer for those of you who obviously haven't done this before. All the questions in the quiz come from the first chapter in the encyclopedia. And there will be 6 questions to begin with. And the idea of the game is that you try and get the answers right, of course. If you get them right, you progress on to the next question. If you get it wrong, it will tell you what the right answer is. But you will go back to the beginning of the quiz. And you have to get all 6 answers right in order to win. And the first person to do that is the winner. So this is a quiz as much about memory as it is about general knowledge. Okay. Now, we've got 31 players in the quiz. That's fantastic. I'm going to start this round. If you didn't manage to join in this round, you can join in the second round or whatever. 33, 30, that's lovely. Got a couple more players. And when I click the game, you will find that each one of you is assigned an animal group. So we can see that Ted is a bison and that Trisha is a dolphin. If I scroll down here, Keith is a rhino. Keith was a chap chewing at the start, maybe it is. Melissa is a sea dragon. I don't know if that's the Melissa Jacobs or not, but anyway, it's Melissa the sea dragon. And we have Bia, who is a peacock. Now, this keeps it nice and anonymous as we go through the quiz. When I click Start Game here, on my screen, which you're very welcome to look at, you will see a leaderboard. So I can see how everybody's getting on, and I will do a commentary, okay? And you now will be presented with the first of the 6 questions. Keith, unfortunately, you, sorry, we'll go back in just to get Keith back in again. You'll find that your animals have changed, because I just wanted to go back because Keith's connection disappeared. So Kathleen, you're a frog now, and Mark, you're a Mustang, and Deborah, you're a bison, and Melissa, you're a puma. Okay, we'll start our game, and you will be presented with the first question. You're not all getting the questions at the same questions in the same order, but you will all get the same 6 questions. Chameleons are on 1, Mustangs are on, T-Rexes are on 1. That's a good start. If your number turns red, then I know you've got the answer wrong. So Mustangs, you're going back to the beginning, I'm afraid, but in some ways it's quite good to get the answer wrong at the start, because that means you can quickly find out what the right answer is. Siberian tigers are on 3. That's brilliant. Frogs are on 3. Giraffes, you're back to the start. Sorry about that. There are only 6 questions. Siberian tigers, you just boo-booed. You're back to the start. Frogs are on 4. That's very impressive. Frogs are good at leaping. Hedgehogs, you were doing well, sneaking up there, but you're going to go back to the start now, I'm afraid. Frogs are still on 4, looking strong. Tigers on 4. Frogs are on 5. Frogs are very commanding position. Tigers are on 5. It's between tigers and frogs. We're going to see one of them surely is going to get the answer. Yes, it is. It's Kathleen, who was a frog. That's fantastic. Turn on your microphones, please, to give Kathleen a huge whoop and a round of applause. Woo! Kathleen, that was amazing. Now, Kathleen, I don't know if I can find you amongst this huge, great, massive screens here. Kathleen, can you turn your video on and start talking or shouting?
Hi,
or whooping?
Good morning or good
morning.
afternoon.
Good afternoon. Fantastic, Kathleen. I don't know that I can see you unless, oh, Kathleen Daniel. Is it the Kathleen Daniel?
That's me, yes.
Oh, bravo, Kathleen Daniel. That's fantastic. Now, I take a very old-fashioned piece of technology at this point called a pen, and I write your name down onto this thing called paper. Kathleen, you are a winner, which means you get a fast track into the grand finale. Okay, so that's fine. Doesn't matter. You don't have to win anything, or you can relax now, but you're welcome to take part in the next rounds. That's very good. I hope you all got the idea. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, because time is short, we only have 30 minutes, and I want to get at least 4 quizzes in before the final if possible, is I'm going to share my screen once again. Now, of course, we were talking about space, were we not? Well, why don't we have a look into chapter 2, the planet Earth? Now, the planet Earth's history, and I'm only showing you a few spreads from each chapter here from inside the encyclopedia. You'll see we've designed it to be as visual as possible. Here you will see this dramatic moment where the moon was formed, it is thought, from the collision of the planet Earth and another planet which is known as Theia, about the size of Mars. Can you imagine a more incredible story than 2 planets colliding? And that is what most scientists believe happened. And out of the rubble and the dramatic event, all the dust and rock gathered together and formed our beautiful moon. And that's why the planet's on an axis of 23 degrees, because of this incredible jolt that it received when this other planet smashed into it. And that's why we have our seasons. So many of the things that make sense of our world today go back 4 billion years plus to when the world was formed. So really, time doesn't mean anything. Time crunches together when you zoom out and you think big and you think of the history of the world and think of information as a journey, as you can see here. So what's inside the Earth? Well, we got some graphics to show you, of course, some known unknowns in there. What else is in the Earth's core? Scientists aren't absolutely sure of everything that's inside the Earth's core. Of course, no chapter about the Earth will be complete without a map of the world, but how did it get to come in that shape in the first place? So that's where we learn about Pangea, you can see in that panel called Factastic up there, and how the tectonic plates work and subduction, and of course how they've moved around the Earth like giant jigsaw puzzle pieces, with volcanoes and earthquakes and tsunamis and mountains, and of course deep inside rocks and minerals, and how the material gets morphed into different materials by the great big pressures and heat inside the planet. Now this is my favorite spread in the whole book, so I'm going to stop it for a second. It's on page 72 and 73. It's a cave with giant naturally forming sulfide crystals in Mexico. Now, can you see the size of the people compared with the size of the crystals? Isn't that incredible? You know, you would never believe it, but that's a naturally occurring phenomenon. I desperately want to go and see this natural wonder of the world. And sometimes a picture tells you the story. You don't need lots of words. So we just cleared off the words as best we could and let the picture talk. Here it is in our chapter. Or maybe your students could think about other natural wonders of the world that nobody else has heard of. And they could do a whole research study just based on seeing this incredible picture. So in this chapter, we used a geomorphologist, we used a volcanologist, we used a climate scientist. And of course, here are some questions here, not the same ones that you will have, but there's some questions here that come from the content of the encyclopedia. I'm going to share my screen again as we go back to Quizlet.live. Now I have to generate a new code for this quiz. And whilst I'm doing this, I'm hoping you could go back on your phones to, or your tablets, to Quizlet.live. Here it is, chapter 2, the Earth. Now there's something slightly different about this quiz. It's got 8 questions instead of 6, but this time we've included some pictures. And some people find, because they're very visual learners, that pictures are useful. Now the code is 621090. Again, Alison, you might want to type that in the chat box for anybody who finds it easier to read these things. 621090. Kathleen, we know, is our winner, so she's the one to watch out for. Yeah, for all you visual learners, this is definitely the round for you. We've got 31 players in. I think we had 33 or 34 last time. We've got 34 players who are in very quickly. There's no time to lose. So here we go. These are your animal groups. I'm just having a look. Melissa there is a dolphin. Kathleen, as I go down here, maybe she's just making a cup of tea because now she's fast-tracked into the final. She doesn't even need to worry about it, so that's fine. So she's not there. We're going to start the game. 8 questions to do with the planet Earth. How well do you know your planet Earth, okay? If you get the answer wrong, it will tell you the right answer. Unicorns, you just got the answer wrong, I'm sorry to say. Reindeer and sea turtles on a steady 1. Kangaroos looking good. Siberian tigers, you got to start all over again. Same with you, puffins. But sea turtles are on a strong 2, as are wolves. Tigers, you're getting a bit slow there. You're on 1, you're on 2. That's good. You're making a good advance. Wolves on 2. Sea turtles on 3, but you blowed it. Sea turtles all the way back to the start. Never mind. You have to deal with the emotional side of life as well as the intellectual side in this quiz. Bears are on 5. Look at that. How did they get there? Sometimes I scroll down the page and I suddenly see tigers on 4, bears on 5, bears on 6. Oh my goodness. Cheetahs on 4. This is looking very good. Bears, you're looking in a commanding position. Bears on 7. Oh my goodness, bears. I can't believe it. Within a moment, we're going to have a winner. But tigers are on 6. It's bears. It's Jonathan. Fantastic. Microphones on, please. A round of applause and a big whoop to Jonathan. Woo! Now here's Jonathan. Yay! Fantastic, Jonathan. Now, Jonathan, where are you? Can I identify you out of this? Oh, there you are. I can see a Jonathan up there. Can you turn your video on, Jonathan? Would that be all right? I can see you there. Fantastic, Jonathan. Can you turn your microphone on and say hello?
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, keep speaking.
Oh, okay.
Have you got your video on, Jonathan?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Oh, there you are. Fantastic. Great. And where are you coming? Are you in New York or where are you from?
Yeah, I'm in the Bronx right now.
In the Bronx. Okay, great. Well, Jonathan, congratulations. That was sort of, you must have worked this out, but some people work this out and some others don't. That in that round, all the pictures were pictures of what the right answer is.
Yeah.
And once you clock that one, which Jonathan did, because he's having a little smile and a chuckle there, you can just zoom up there and you can get them all. So that usually means I always have a different winner in round 2 from the one I get in round 1, which is very helpful. So that's Jonathan. Well done, Jonathan. It was a pleasure to meet you, and congratulations, you're fast tracked into the final. That's brilliant. Okay, so we go zooming back to our encyclopedia. I'm going to whiz through matter very quickly. It's all about atoms, of course. Einstein was the guy who discovered there's so much energy, E, trapped inside matter, M, that if you were to take a grain of sand and untrap all the energy, you could boil a kettle 10 million times. I mean, doesn't that just make a point about the magic of reality? And if you were to take a person like Jonathan and you take all the atoms that make Jonathan from the tip of his hair down to his toenails, and convert all those atoms into energy, E, it would be about the same amount of energy as 30 nuclear bombs. So another way, Jonathan, of thinking about yourself, if you're having an identity crisis, you're a sitting weapon of mass destruction. In fact, it's true for all of us. Now, all of atoms are arranged into elements, of course. We have the periodic table. We have a game changer there. Dmitry Mendeleev will have a series of game changers coming out in Britannica books over the next couple of years, actually, that will profile amazing people and how they've changed the world. So that's something exciting to look out for. Of course, substances can combine into compounds, and they can change state from solids and liquids to gases. That's mercury, by the way, the only really liquid metal at room temperature. I don't know if you remember those little mazes you got as kids, a little retro maze with a blob of mercury going around. I remember doing that. It was lots of fun. And of course, metals conduct electricity. Non-metals don't generally, except for carbon. Electricity is very, very important, of course, changes our world. There's a Van de Graaff generator. I don't know if the kids still do that in school, where they put their hands and their hair stands on end with static electricity. And we learn about forces like this is the Bloodhound, a car that's being designed to be able to go more than 1,000 miles an hour. The biggest engineering challenge is to stop it taking off as the air gets underneath the body of the car. So who did we have? We had a biochemist, a chemical engineer, and a chemist, all profiled. We've tried to choose people with a really diverse background to try and inspire people of all ethnicities and backgrounds to be able to challenge them and inspire them to become engineers and scientists in the future, of course. And we have our quiz. Now I'm going to whiz through because we only got 20 minutes, and I'm going to show you chapter 4. The origin of life on Earth, of course, is one of the biggest known unknowns. Where did life begin and how did it begin, etc.? And of course, one of the people who puzzled so much out was Charles Darwin. He's a game changer there. And you can see his theory of evolution explained nice and simply and graphically for anybody to understand. And we then visit the micro world, so often ignored. This is a water bear zoomed in with an electron microscope. What an amazing piece of precision engineering, even though you can't see it really. We rave about nanotechnology, but nature's been up to it for millions and billions of years. There are viruses. That's very topical over there on the top right. We visit the world of plants and animals divided into vertebrates and invertebrates, and bugs zoomed in using the photography here to really bring the topic to life. And then lots of different environments and ecosystems where animals live, whether it's rainforests and grasslands, or we turn the book through 90 degrees to look at the environments that you go through when you travel up the different zones of a mountain range, like Mount Everest, for example. And there are deserts, and in the deep sea, this is an anglerfish, which has a symbiotic relationship with bacteria, which shine in the dark so it can find its food, and both of them benefit as a result. And nature is not just about competition, it's also about collaboration. And it's true in human culture too, which is, of course, an expression of the natural world. So here we are, life. What I think I'm going to do now is I'm going to invite you for our next quiz, to challenge you to think about the story of life on Earth. Please go to Quizlet.com, Quizlet.live once again, and I will generate a code for our quiz to do with the story of life on Earth. There we are, chapter 4, life. And when you get to Quizlet.live, I would like you please to enter the following 6 digits, and they are 656418. Alison will kindly put that into the chat box. 656418. We've got Kathleen and Jonathan, who are our finalists. I see Kathleen's just joined us in this time. She's now got a cup of tea. That's good news. Kathleen and Jonathan are already fast-tracked into the final. We've got 28 players. That's fantastic. 29, keep coming, 30. But of course, it hopefully will be somebody else now, somebody with a real passion for biology and for the magic and the amazing story of life on Earth. 34 players, off we go. These are your animal groups. You've got to watch out for Kathleen and Jonathan. Let's see if we can identify them now. We can see that, can we see Jonathan is a stingray. That's something to watch out for. And Kathleen, is she in there? I can't see Kathleen in there. Maybe she came and she went. Maybe I'm just being blind, but definitely watch out for the stingrays. Okay, here we go. We start our game. There are 10 questions this time. No pictures, all about the story of life on Earth. Watch out for stingrays, because we know that stingrays have already been a winner, but there are no pictures to help you this time, Jonathan. Okay, wolves are on 1, puffins are on 1. I'm scrolling up and down as we go. If you want to watch my leaderboard, you're very welcome to, but that may be a distraction. Maybe you've got somebody with you in your house who'd like to join in and they can see what I can see. And every time one of my little numbers turns red, then I know you've made a mistake and you're going to go sliding down the chute back to the beginning, just like wolves have done. They thought they were doing rather well on 3, but now they're back to the beginning. But hopefully you paid attention and you know where you went wrong, so you won't make that mistake again in the future. That's how the brain works, by the way. Trial and error. This really is a true non-fiction quiz based on the whole chemistry and dynamics of how the brain really works. Okay, penguins on 5, kangaroos on 5, penguins on, oh, kangaroos have blown it. Back to the beginning, but penguins are on 6, which is a very commanding lead. Oxen are on 5, so you're not on your own, penguins, but you're doing very well. Penguins on 7, that's fantastic. Sea turtles on 4, penguins still on 7, penguins on 8, but they could still blow it because they still got to get 2 answers right. But it does look like penguins. Oh dear, sea turtles, you have to go back to the beginning again. Penguins have paused. They're not quite sure what to do next. They're a bit unsure of the next question. Penguins on 9. Oh my goodness, unless something catastrophic happens, penguins is going to be our next winner. Let's just see now, can they make it over the last hurdle here, penguins? Mustangs are on 6. You can't hang around. Mustangs are on 7. You can't wait too long. Oh, it is penguins. It is Grayson. Turn on your microphones, please. Grayson, a huge round of applause. Woo! Can I hear it for Grayson? That's good, Grayson. A little muted there, the applause, I thought. I thought you'd do a little bit better there, especially if you're living in the Bronx. Grayson, where are you? Could you turn on your video and reveal yourself if you don't mind? And maybe
I've been
talk.
hiding. I've
Grayson,
been
are you there?
hiding.
Yes, one
You
second.
are. Are you Bernadine as well?
No, I'm Bernadine.
Grayson, can you speak?
Yes, hello.
You're Bernadine, yes. But were you the winner of our round, Bernadine?
I'm Bernadine.
Were you labeled Grayson on the quiz?
No, I'm
Or was it-
Grayson.
Oh, who's Grayson?
I was
Hello.
labeled.
Hello.
I was labeled Grayson on the. I was labeled Grayson on the game.
Ah, so did you win that round as a penguin?
Yes, I did. I was GRACEN on that round.
So was
Great.
I.
All right. Who? Oh, okay. And which one of you? Were you Grayson? Now, were you the
My
penguin? Who was
name,
the
my
penguin?
name is Grayson. I was a penguin.
Oh, all right, Bernadine. I'm sorry for the false excitement there, but
Okay.
two Graysons in the name. But Grayson over here was the penguin. Congratulations, Grayson. Where do you come from? Whereabouts are you living?
I'm in Brooklyn, New York.
You're in Brooklyn. Great. Congratulations on your brilliant knowledge of all biology and all the rest of it there. That's fantastic. So, Grayson, I'm going to put you down here on my high-tech piece of paper here with a pen as a winner of our third quiz, okay? And we're going to do one more quiz, everybody, to do with history before we have our grand final, because I don't want you to be late for your next session and all the rest of it. So I'm going to share my screen because time is precious, I know. And we're going to whiz over here, and you'll see we've just done our little chapter on life. We're going to whiz through humans, what it means to be a human, our brains, our emotions, our senses, our beliefs. We're all storytellers. That's a wonderful thing about human beings. We always have to tell stories to make sense of the world. And reading and writing is a great way of communicating those stories. And of course, that's what this literacy and education is all about. So we'll move into ancient times. We start our ancient history with the indigenous peoples of Australia. So often forgotten or missed out from histories are the indigenous peoples all over the world who, of course, lived for thousands and thousands of years before they were disrupted by other people arriving from various places. Well, we all know about those stories. The Fertile Crescent is where farming began, and people could start going to markets and start buying and selling food, and they started building cities. So we have ancient civilizations, we have ziggurats, and we have writing in ancient Mesopotamia. Whilst we had Stonehenge in the UK, about the same time, they were building the pyramids of Egypt, and they were mummifying people. And there's the process. You can practice your hieroglyphics over there on the far right there. And of course, people would expand and spread all over the world. As you can see, the Polynesian settlers over here with great big civilizations in Europe, like the Minoans and the Phoenicians, where our alphabet came from, and the Olmecs and the Maya in the Americas, of course, the great empire builder, Alexander the Great, and after him, the Roman Empire and the golden age of Islam, which brought things things like gunpowder and sugar and compasses and paper, all the way from the Far East to Europe, which transformed the world. So this chapter really takes us up to medieval times, and then we move into modern times. And modern history, we begin at about 1500 in the Renaissance with the Age of Exploration. Of course, people, as they spread in the world, there are highs and lows. And because of a virus, as you know, smallpox, so few people in the Americas after the Europeans arrived that they forcibly took people from Africa, and a virus changed the world then, just as it's changing the world now, which is rather amazing. And there are all kinds of revolutions in modern history: French revolutions, German revolutions, Russian revolutions, scientific revolutions, but medical revolutions too. And here's a milestone of incredible achievements: revolutions about trying to create equality. New Zealand, in this timeline here, the first country in the world to give women the right to vote. Saudi Arabia in 2011, you'll see. And of course, there have been world wars and civil rights movements. And today, really amazing people like Malala still campaigning for all girls to have the human right to a proper, good education, etc. So we move in today's world and tomorrow's world. And I'll just flick through these final chapters for you about one of the big problems today: inequality. A lot of that's driven by automation, because of course robots do jobs and then rich people can take the profits, and wealth isn't spread around perhaps in the way it used to be before automation. How are we going to feed everybody? There's a huge science challenge. Science, of course, may be able to help us with artificial materials or technology, but we've got to be so careful about the relationship with other creatures, extinction events, and a list here of the most endangered species in the world. And of course, the effects of climate change, that are changing habitats everywhere. Maybe science can help here with renewable energy, etc. Maybe we can grow our food in a different way, so we don't have to devote so much land to agriculture by having giant, big sort of vertical farms in cities, up skyscrapers. These are the challenges of the future that your students, I'm sure, will be relishing the opportunity to try and get their heads around. And of course, we have our experts and our quiz at the end here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put us into a last quiz. This is your last chance to get into the final here, everybody, before we have our grand final. And we have a choice of what quiz we could do. Well, should we see how you get on with a bit of ancient history? I don't know how many of you enjoy a bit of ancient history, but I haven't had time to really take a vote, even though it is kind of voting day today. But let's have a look at ancient and medieval times, chapter 6. I will generate the code. If you, whoops, I will generate the code if I can click the right button, that is. If you could go back into quizlet.live, please. And then in 1 minute, there will be a 6-digit code. And that 6-digit code will allow you to enter our last quiz before the final, 610029, for our quiz to be the Britannica Kids Champion Quizzer of the Beyond Access Forum live event, November the 3rd, election day 2020. And to win a grand prize. I haven't talked to you about a grand prize, have I? I'm going to do that in a minute, just before the final, just to get us really ready to go. Right, we've got everybody in there, I hope. 33 players, 34 players, that's all right. That's what we had before. Last chance to get in the final. Here are your animal groups. Okay, watch out for Kathleen, for Jonathan, and for Grayson. Let's see if we can identify any of them quickly, just so we know who. Jonathan is a puma. That's interesting. Okay, can I see Kathleen in there? Yes, she's a bear. And Grayson is an ostrich. Ostriches, bears, and pumas, they're the ones to watch out for. Okay, off we go. And you have 10 questions on ancient history. Puffins and hedgehogs off to a good start. So are mustangs and sharks. Alligators, you've got to start all over again. But if you're going to make your mistakes, you want to make them at the beginning. That's the key, so that then you know the right answers, providing you remember what they are, to leap you up into contention. Okay, stingrays back to the start. Sorry, peacocks on 3. That's very good. Tigers on 3. T-Rexes on 3. Mustangs on 3. Sharks on 3. Fantastic. This is very good indeed, Tigers. Nice to see you creeping up there on 4. Peacocks on 4. Dolphins, you're having to go back to the start. Peacocks looking good in a commanding position there on 5. Mustangs are on 5. So it's between Mustangs and Peacocks. Chameleons sneaking up on 4, as are lynxes. Oh, Tigers, you're going to go back to the beginning. I'm sorry to see that. Koalas, you're doing well, but it's wolves, peacocks on 7, wolves on 6. There's a real battle at the bottom here of the leaderboard. I can see 7 wolves, peacocks. It's neck and neck. Kangaroo, oh, peacocks on 8. Anybody else up there on 8? No, it looks like it's going to be peacocks. Chameleons, you're on 7. Peacocks, oh, wolves have blown it. Peacocks wide open to you if you can just nail it in the last question here, Peacocks. You can be our winner, and you are, and it's Jane. Microphones on. A round of applause for the fabulous Jane. Woo! That's incredible, Jane. if you would be sweet enough to turn on your video and you could reveal yourself so that we can congratulate you in person. Jane, where are you? Can you speak?
Here. I can turn it on.
Can you turn on your video? Oh, Jane. Oh, you had some secret helper. That's
Yeah.
not bad.
Oh,
Oh, wow, Jane, that's fantastic. Can you introduce us? Who have you got there with you?
This is Clark.
Clark, you're a
Clark.
genius. Clark, you're amazing. Isn't that fantastic? What a privilege it is to have Clark join us in this show. Jane, congratulations. That was really
Thank
good.
you.
It's kind of ancient history your thing, or are you just generally?
I
very
taught
clever?
ninth grade history for 8 years, so yeah.
Oh, wow. There we are. Well, that's fantastic. Well, you did extremely well. That's really, really superb. So, everybody, there we go. So that's the idea of the quiz. That's how we're trying to create excitement with nonfiction in a book form, in an interactive form, in a virtual form, even during a pandemic. You know, we can do this with kids in different schools. We can have championships. I'll talk to you about that at the end. But our grand prize, I have to say, is a copy of the encyclopedia, but we've made a special luxury edition. And there are only 500 of these in the world, and they come in a special gift case you can see here. And they're numbered and they're signed. So this is what's going to be the grand prize for our winner. And the winner could be Jane, who has now managed to, is going to focus very hard now without having Clark on her lap as well. Very impressive, Jane. We've got Jane, Grayson, Jonathan, and Kathleen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask just the 4 of those, Jane, Grayson, Jonathan, and Kathleen, to join us for the grand finale. Everybody else can now watch the screen, okay? So what I'm going to do, if you would go to Quizlet.live, please, Kathleen, Jonathan, Grayson, and Jane. Our last grand finale is all based around dates. And of course, dates are a fantastic way of organizing information, which means the questions can come from anywhere in the encyclopedia from the beginning of time to the present day. You will have 8 questions. So there's only 8 questions in the final. There are 4 finalists, and any one of you could be our grand champion winner. I'm going to give you the code as it comes up on the screen any moment now, I'm hoping. Am I screen sharing? Yes, I am. There we go. The code is 300011. And I just want Kathleen, Jonathan, Grayson, and Jane, please, to put Jonathan's in there. That's fine. Jane is in there. Kathleen is in, and Grayson. Fantastic. Right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, there you are. Jonathan is a T-Rex. Jane is a sea dragon. Kathleen is a panda. And Grayson is a peacock. We're going to start the game. Okay, you can see what's happening now. If you hadn't managed to see what I was looking at whilst you were doing your quizzes, this is the key leaderboard dashboard happening in real time. They're all on 1. If one of their numbers turns red, you know they've made a mistake and they will sink back to the start. But so far, everybody's got the dates right. This is very impressive indeed. Sea Dragons on 3. T-Rexes, oh, T-Rexes have blown it. You're back. And so are peacocks. Oh my goodness, back to the start. But Sea Dragons in a commanding position on 4. Oh, pandas have blown it as well. Sea Dragons on 5. Very impressive indeed. But Sea Dragons, you've got 3 more answers away to winning a grand luxury edition. You're on 6. T-Rexes are not going to give up without a fight. They're on 2, but they're storming up there. Sea Dragons are on 7. Only 1 away from total victory. This is amazing. Who is Sea Dragons? I can't remember off the top of my head. Some of you will remember. It is Jane. Oh my goodness, that's fantastic. Microphones on, please, so everybody can give Jane a huge round of applause. That is
Jane and Clark.
Jane, well. All those years in the classroom have really honed your synapses. That's absolutely fantastic, Jane. We're so impressed. And what I need you to do, Jane, is I'm going to put my email address here on the chat box. It's chris@whatonearthbooks.com. And I just need you very kindly to send me your address. And then we will send you one of these beautiful luxury editions for you and Clark. Is there anybody else in your house apart from Clark who might enjoy this book?
Pardon?
Is there anybody else in your house apart from Clark and you who might enjoy this book?
Well, my husband's over there teaching biology right now too. But no, just me, just the baby. This one's great.
Well, he'll enjoy it too. I'm
Yeah.
Okay, well, congratulations. What a wonderful world Clark is being born into with you guys there. So that's my email address, chris@whatonearthbooks.com. We've only got 2 minutes really before the end of the whole show, so I haven't really got time to share my screen again perhaps, but I really just want to say that it's been a real pleasure and an honor to come to this event, to be able to introduce this new encyclopedia and why it's a little different from encyclopedias of old. It's a great honor for me to, and my team, to be able to partner with Britannica. We have a whole range of new Britannica books coming out over the next 3 to 5 years. You'll see them again and again, and we'll try and keep you posted on the different titles as they come out. But this launch flagship title, I think, will be really exciting for all your students in your schools. If you'd like to book me up to do a quiz show, I can do that. You know, I'm here in lockdown for another month waiting for, you know, your call. So I would be thrilled to engage with your students, to be able to give them a chance to enjoy celebrating the magic of reality, to do that through this book. You guys are the most important people in the schools, librarians. That's where all knowledge comes together. That's where the connections are made. That's where people can find out what they're interested in and learn through their own personal interests, which is what I feel so passionately about. I will be with a couple of my colleagues in our virtual booth at Britannica Books for the rest of the conference. So I would really encourage you to come along and have a chat, to let us know who you are and what you're up to and how we can help and how we can get to know each other better. But thank you to everybody, to Melissa for organizing everything, to everybody in the Beyond Access Forum. It's a real pleasure to be able to be involved. My name is Chris, and that is the Britannica All New Kids Encyclopedia Quiz Show. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, nice job.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Please feel free to go to Britannica's booth for more information and resources. Please make sure you use the hashtag NYC Schools Inclusion. And we look forward to seeing you at the next session. Have a great rest of the day.
Thanks,
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you. That was fun.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The